Hello and welcome back to TUC0's Talks. Today we are interviewing Coach Darren Jackson. Coach Jackson is the head football coach at Sterling College. He is one of the upcoming coaches and also a good friend of mine. So it is going to be an absolute blast for me and I'm really excited. Hey, before we start though, make sure to hit that subscribe and follow. Reminder that all proceeds from TUC0's Talks goes to Morae Classical Schools and scholarships for kids to be able to go. So again, very excited to have Coach Darren Jackson, and here we go. Hello and welcome to TUC0's Talks. I am excited to be here. We've got another interview. This time we are interviewing a head football coach. And so Coach Jackson, how are we doing today?
Doing fine. How you doing?
I'm doing well. And so you are at Sterling College, which is in Kansas. But just so everyone knows who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you came from, and then what you're doing now.
Yeah, I'm originally from Gloucester, Virginia, right there in the Tidewater area with Newport News and Hampton Roads area. Did my schooling and actually, playing football at Liberty University. Got into coaching right after I graduated, and I've been in it. Been, dipped down to high school a couple times and been in the collegiate ranks for most of my career. This is my second stint as a head football coach on the college level, and so it's been great. It's been a great ride.
That's awesome. And Liberty, man, what a year that they've had. Like the last 3 or 4 years have been crazy good.
Yeah, we're actually former teammates of mine. We're in a group chat, and a few of them are going to actually go to the New Year's Six Fiesta Bowl against to watch, Liberty versus Oregon. So it's going to be exciting. I'm excited for them and what they've done, and it's crazy to see, when I was there as a player and then I was back as a coach to what it is now. It's still completely different facilities and everything going on there for sure. Happy for them.
Yeah, that is crazy. And I actually had the opportunity of playing Liberty. I don't know if I told you that, but when I was playing at Stanford University, we did play Liberty. We hosted them, and they were, I think they were brand new to 1AA, and they were good back in the day, and so they've definitely grown over the years. So you play at Liberty, you've coached at Liberty, and that is a high level, even gaining as we go. But you're coaching at Sterling College that doesn't quite have the same amount of donors, that doesn't have the same amount of money that comes in. What are you learning now, and what's it like working at an organization that doesn't have that high level, that may not have the budget that you used to?
You have to be innovative, think outside the box. You still want to give your young men the, high level college experience. And so it's just taking the places where I've been and other lower levels I've been as well, meshing them together and saying what fits here at Sterling College. But, also, don't use it as a crutch or an excuse to build your brand and then let these young men know, like, hey, we might not have the bells and whistles, but what we do have, it's still great for our level.
Yeah, and I loved the building your brand. That does not depend on budget, right? That can be done anywhere and anything. And one of the things that I love about when you determine your brand is who you are and what you think is so crucial. So just thinking at Sterling College and thinking about who you are and you're building your brand there, what brand are you building?
So that's a great question because being a head coach, you have what you have in mind for your program. With your program, you're going to have your brand of who you are on your program, and that has to be the same as the college that's interested in you, or it has to be a great married couple. And so coming into the process, I said, here's who I am. Strong in my faith. Sterling College is a Christian college. So right off the bat, those two meet. And then you go in more in depth with, okay, here's what I have in mind for the program. This is my program. You're hiring me to be the head coach. We're going to talk about pride, which pride is an acronym for passion, responsibility, integrity, determination, and excellence. And then you go from there. And if that doesn't marry up, then you're not the guy or lady for the job. But it married up, and then now you can build on that and saying, like, this is who we are. Let's have some stick to this, and just keep moving forward with it.
Golly, that is awesome. You bring so many great points together there, and when in my mind where I'm going to, one, when you're talking about finding a job, you need to make sure they mirror together. You are building a relationship. One, what is that organization? What do they stand for? And then two, what do you stand for? And can we both come together and work through that? I mean, that's so
Correct.
crucial, because so many times we look at, hey, are we just doing a job? And that's not going to work in the long term.
Correct.
And I'm looking at the news today, and there are certain universities that are in the news today, and a lot of it is deciding, what kind of character are you, and what does that organization stand for? And when you're looking to decide, who are you going to partner with? Who are you going to go to school with? Who are you going to play for? The person is huge in that. And what the school stands for and what the coach stands for is critical. And man, I love how you're building the brand there at Sterling College. How you're using pride, and not in the negative term of I'm proud of myself, but rather those inherent characteristics and virtues that you're teaching there. And I believe those are the same virtues that we had known together when we were back at TJ. And so I recognize that and part of that. But I'll talk about that here in a little bit. So you don't just come up with things on your own. Obviously, you look to your mentors. Tell me about a mentor of yours. Tell me who's your favorite leader. Don't name names, but tell me some characteristics about who that person is.
Yes, being patient, explaining your why in situations, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. Explaining your why, and then listening to your fellow coworkers, or you might be the CEO, the manager, or the vice president, and you might have a certain way of doing things, and you still want to do it that way, but it's not going to hurt to listen to who works under you, and you listen, and then you say, okay, I hear and see what you're saying, but we're still going to do this way. That makes a ton of a difference. That changes the mood in the room and in the situation, when you still allow them to say their piece or say what they had in mind. I learned that from a great mentor of mine, and I use that till this day. And then also, when things get heated or discombobulated or confused, take some time to yourself, regroup, be able to not make a haste decision right off of emotion, and then be able to assess the situation and come back sometimes the next day or a couple hours, and then address it.
Absolutely. And I was thinking, as you were talking through, how do I get him to go into what do you need to do? Because I think that's so important, and the things that we need to stop, think through, assess what's going on, and then being able to go. But there's a lot of times I don't do that, right? There's a million things going on in my mind as a leader. I'm compartmentalizing conversations, and hey, I'm having this conversation with you right now, but I'm still thinking about the conversation I had with somebody 30 minutes ago, and I'm walking through. Sometimes I get stuck in that, and I'm not listening to what's going on now. Can you think of a time where somebody brought you something that you're like, oh man, I don't like that idea, and then you think about it later, and then you're like, oh, that may have been good. How do you go back and have our conversations and readdress things like that?
Yeah, actually happens quite a bit in this profession. You're going over some film work, or you're going over a certain scheme or technique, and as you're in there, and when you're in a group, and you're like, I hear it and I see what you're saying, but now we're going to stick with this, okay? And you might go back and you might doing some individual study on it, or you might doing some more deep diving on it, and then you look at it and you say, you know what? That actually is a whole lot better than what we had or what I was thinking of. And, what makes great leaders is you just go down there, a hall, or you go back to that person and say, hey, what you said earlier, it's spot on. I was completely wrong, or I thought I had it right, but no, wait, I like what you're talking about there. Let's go ahead and implement that. Let's come on down the hall. Let's get it changed. That's where you're growing and you have growth, and not coming up with an excuse to say, yeah, I kind of tweaked it a little bit. No, you didn't. It's the exact, just say, hey, good job. I completely missed that one.
Gosh,
So
that's fantastic, right? And I love your comment of what you said. That's growth. Like when you're so confident in yourself and in your abilities that you're competent to say, I was wrong, you were right in this situation, let's go do it your way. And then not have to think, oh, I guess I'm not as good as I thought I was. That's awesome. Okay, so you're a college head football coach. Like, does that ever sink into you? Every once in a while, you just stop and think, "Oh my gosh, I am a college head football coach. How cool is that?"
yeah, it does. Sometimes I'll just be walking the dogs around the neighborhood or something, and I'll be like, man, I'm a head college coach. Um, then I just keep moving again. But yeah, it does. It does.
Man, that's surreal. I think growing up, if I was to say one of the coolest jobs ever, head football coach for college would be up there. So that's a heck of an accomplishment. Um, we hadn't talked about this yet, but you were selected as a 30 under 30, um, as showing the potential and the growth coming up. Tell us a little bit about what that organization is and what does that mean?
So it's the American Football Coaches Association, and every year they just came out with their 35 under 35. They just came out with their new list of guys this year, and it's like a fraternity within it. They recognize up and coming young coaches, and they put you in a 2 day, 3 day academy. And they just don't pick you closing your eyes and picking some names. They do their research, and then you have to turn in either a coaching tape, coaching manual, and they do their research on that. And then they bring you in to meet fellow 35 under 35s like you are, and build that um, relationship with those guys, and build it with the next group of guys coming in. And it's every year that's done, and you just learn a lot. And they just say, hey, look, we recognize of you as one of these young up and coming coaches, and um, we need to be able to um, mentor you, ask you for things to do within the organization, whether that's volunteering for something, whether that's speaking, whether that's getting in an interview, whether that's going on the board with something. They look towards to you first for those deals.
Yeah, that's a huge accomplishment, and that's at all divisions, right? So this is Division I coaches as well.
Correct. Yep. all the way to FBS, all the way down to NAI.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you've been recognized as the potential 35 best coaches under 35 years old, and now you're a head football coach. And one of the things that I always tell our young leaders is you always, no matter where you come from, the potential that you've had, or what you've accomplished now, you always have to be learning something. So if I was to say, all right, Coach Jackson, what are you learning now? Where are you at?
Man, it's being a head coach on any level, you're getting hit from all different angles, and so you got to be able to have great time management. You got to be able to. I don't have an assistant. I don't have an assistant that can say, "Hey, don't forget this meeting. Don't forget that meeting. Make sure you do this email." So I have to be able to put different things in my phone. And I'm not sitting here saying that I came here and I was ready to go. That was one thing I needed to really learn, that in the budget for me, being able to manage the budget and being able to have great time management. Because I get in football mode and I get to wanting to make sure my young men are doing well, which is what I'm supposed to do. But there's also other things that I got to make sure are doing well as well.
Yeah, that's so good. Constantly learning, constantly thinking through. And you said something that I just really keyed in on, and I think people need to understand this, is you didn't show up ready to go. Like, you don't ever get hired for a job that you completely know everything and that you can run it. Like, you are learning on the job. And when I hire, I'm looking for people who have the potential and the understanding to be able to pick it up quickly. And so it's encouraging every time I hear the stories of people coming in to do jobs that they too are able to learn on the go and able to figure it out. And so that's incredible. Okay, we are exhausting our time quickly, but I want to stop and I just want to ask you if there's anything out there for young leaders. Like, what do you say to encourage them or to give them advice? What advice would you have for
Don't be afraid to fail. Um, there's a lot of learning in that. And I, I didn't, and don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. Um, and I'm not from Kansas. Never set foot in Kansas till they flew me in here on my interview. And that was 2 years ago. And so if I limit myself or limit what I want to do, if you limit yourself and limit what you want to do, then you don't know what you can do. So that's what I would share.
you? Yeah, fantastic. Don't limit yourself. Embrace the quick failures. Let you learn from those and then move on. And those are awesome. Uh, is there anything else that you want to share for our viewers? Is there anything that you'd like to put out there?
Yeah, I would say, always have that determination. Um, there's going to be 1,000 no's, but all it takes is that one yes. Um, this ain't the first time I've tried to become a head coach before. Um, and so if I took the first no and just stuck with that, then I wouldn't be where I am today. And so I'm not sitting here saying that I'm the best. There's always somebody out there. So you always got to continuously to grow. Um, but not only grow in your profession, but just grow as an individual. Grow yourself. Constantly read something. I try to do something during the summer. We have a little bit more downtime where I'm learning how to do something that I've never done before. And I pick up a book. Like I'm saying, read books, because whether or not you know it or not, that's still something. When you're reading it, it's still sticking to you. There's leadership books out there, man. I read. For me, I read sci-fi books. I know that sounds crazy, but that's just my niche. I read some sci-fi books, and so um, it just, always continues to grow and get better at your profession, but also as who you are as a human being.
That's awesome. Continual growth, continue reading, and pushing yourself through. Well, Coach Jackson and I met a couple of years ago, and I received your name from one of my previous students who was an assistant athletic director, and I was looking for a head football coach, and I got the call, and he's like, you gotta talk to this guy, Darren Jackson. And so we sat down and we talked probably 45 minutes. And after we hung up the phone, I called my wife and I said, I had one of the best conversations I've had in a really, really long time. This is our next head football coach. He is exceptionally talented. He has the right mindset. He cares about kids. He cares about growing them. Football is important, but it is not the most important. And wherever he goes, he's going to be successful in growing people. And so I say all that, one, to embarrass you on the program, but two, because I honestly believe it. You are a phenomenal coach. You are a phenomenal leader. You are the coach that if my kids were going to play college football, I would send them to wherever you are. I don't care the school because I want them to be led by someone that I trust and be led that someone who is going to pour into my kids. So, Coach Jackson, I appreciate you. I appreciate everything that you've done, sharing with me, working with me, and coming on to this podcast. For all of those young kids or even adults who have young kids that are looking to go play college football and they want to follow you personally, is there an Instagram or Twitter? Or how do they find you?
Yes, my Twitter is at Coach Jackson 623. I'm on there constantly updating things that we're doing here at Sterling College. I'm updating on the recruiting road trail. You can send me a personal message. You can send me a message through the link. I'm also, it's Coach D Jack on Instagram. Guys are using that now. There's a lot. I use both to put out our information on our college. Because Sterling College, we're not a big college here in Central Kansas, but we have who we are, we have great resources. Number one being you're going to grow in your faith. You're a Christian college, you're going to grow. The staff's going to pour into you. The school's going to pour into you, and our players are going to pour into each other. That's what makes us who we are. That's our niche, and we're not changing from that. But please don't hesitate to reach out. Don't hesitate to ask questions. If I don't know the answer, I will say that I don't know the answer, but I'm going to do my best to get the answer for you.
Well, that is great, and obviously developing kids and building them up because they're not going to play football forever is the most important. But if I'm not mistaken, someone got a pretty big award here recently. What was that?
Yeah, our return specialist, Trey Dixon, he was our conference is the KCAC. He is actually the Special Teams Player of the Year, and then today it came out that he was a second team All-American return specialist. It's been a few years since we've had an All-American here, so that was a great accomplishment for our team and our college.
Absolutely. So please pass on your congratulations to the college, to the athletic director, and then your entire staff for developing that, and especially to the kid, because that doesn't happen. Like
No.
All-American, you don't just show up and become an All-American. You have to put in the effort. So congrats to that young man. All right. Well, again, thank you for being on the podcast. It truly was an honor for me to have you on here. And to everyone else, y'all have a fantastic week. And this is TUC0 Wright checking off.